The signal came on a Tuesday. Dr. Sarah Chen stood frozen before the holographic display, her coffee growing cold in her forgotten mug. After 15 years of searching the stars for signs of alien civilization, humanity's first contact wasn't a greeting or a declaration of war. It was a warning. The transmission had been buried in the background radiation of space, encrypted in a mathematical language so universal it transcended the barriers of biology and culture. Sarah's team at the Global Xenorchaeological Institute had spent weeks decoding it, each layer revealing new horrors about what awaited humanity. Director Chen, her assistant, Raj, appeared in the doorway. "The Security Council is waiting." Sarah nodded, gathering her tablet and straightening her jacket. The weight of what she was about to share pressed down on her shoulders like a physical force. How do you tell humanity's leaders that the end of everything was approaching? The United Nations Security Council chamber was packed with representatives from every major nation. The emergency session had been called with such urgency that some delegates still showed signs of jet lag, dark circles under their eyes, as they watched Sarah approach the podium. "Distinguished representatives," Sarah began, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "3 weeks ago, our deep space arrays detected an artificial signal originating from the Proxima Centauri system. This signal contained a message, left behind by a civilization that calls themselves the predecessors. They're gone now. They've been gone for millions of years, but they left this warning for whoever might follow them." The holographic display behind her came to life, showing a visualization of what the predecessors had described. A darkness deeper than the void of space itself, moving between the stars like a living thing. "They called it the void," Sarah continued. "It's not a natural phenomenon. It's not a black hole or a cosmic storm. It's something else. Something that hunts." The chamber erupted in murmurs. Sarah waited for them to quiet before continuing. "The predecessors discovered evidence of thousands of civilizations across our galaxy. Advanced species that had mastered interstellar travel, built Dyson spheres, colonized entire systems. Every single one of them vanished when the void reached their worlds. Not destroyed, absorbed, consumed. The predecessors themselves barely had time to leave this warning before they too were taken." "How much time do we have?" The Chinese representative's question cut through the growing chaos. Sarah's hands tightened on the podium. "Our instruments detected the first signs of the void's approach 2 days ago. Based on its current trajectory and speed, it will reach our solar system in approximately 8 months. The chamber exploded into pandemonium. Shouts of disbelief and anger echoed off the walls as delegates demanded explanations, solutions, anything that might offer hope. "Please," Sarah's voice rose above the din. "There's more." The predecessor's message wasn't just a warning. They believed they found something unique about humanity, something that might give us a chance. The room gradually quieted, all eyes fixed on her. In studying our broadcasts, our transmissions, our very brain patterns, they detected something they'd never seen before, a peculiar quantum signature in human consciousness. They theorized the human minds might be able to interact with the void in ways they couldn't understand. They left us plans, fragments of their research. It's not much, but it's a starting point. Commander Marcus Torres watched the Security Council broadcast from his office at the Lunar Defense Command. Unlike the politicians below, he didn't waste time with denial or debate. He was already mobilizing every resource at his disposal. "Get me Dr. Chen," he ordered his AI assistant, "and start compiling everything we have on quantum consciousness research. Everything." Within hours, humanity's greatest minds were being gathered. Physicists, neuroscientists, engineers, anyone who might help understand what made human consciousness special and how to weaponize it against the approaching darkness. Sarah's team worked around the clock, decoding more of the predecessor's research. Each revelation brought equal measures of hope and dread. The void wasn't just consuming civilizations, it was preserving them somehow, holding them in a state between existence and oblivion. "It's like a cosmic library," Sarah explained to Marcus during one of their late-night strategy sessions, or a museum. Something is collecting advanced species, storing them like artifacts. The question is why? Marcus replied, his weathered face illuminated by the screens surrounding them. And more importantly, how do we avoid joining the collection? The first visible signs of the void's approach came sooner than expected. Astronomers reported strange distortions in the light from distant stars, as if reality itself was being bent around something their instruments couldn't quite detect. Humanity responded the way it always had in the face of extinction, with stubborn defiance and relentless innovation. Project Phoenix was born, a desperate plan to develop technology that could shield Earth from the void, using the unique properties of human consciousness. Sarah found herself working closely with Marcus, their different approaches to the problem, her scientific insight and his strategic mind, creating unexpected breakthroughs. The commander's practical military experience helped translate theoretical concepts into workable defenses. The predecessors were right about us being different, Sarah said one evening, reviewing the latest test results. Our minds generate quantum patterns unlike anything they'd documented. We just need to figure out how to amplify that effect. Marcus studied the data scrolling across his screen. We're running out of time. The void's acceleration is increasing. At this rate, we have maybe 5 months, not 8. Sarah's response was interrupted by a priority alert. New readings were coming in from their deep space arrays. The void had consumed another star system, but this time their instruments had captured something unprecedented. Look at these patterns, Sarah breathed, enhancing the holographic display. The void structure, it's responding to our observations. It's almost like it's aware of us, Marcus finished. Like it's studying us back. As humanity raced to prepare its defenses, more strange phenomena began to manifest. People worldwide reported vivid dreams of alien cities and impossible landscapes. Children drew pictures of creatures no human had ever imagined. It was as if humanity's collective unconscious was reaching across space, touching the minds preserved within the void. Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that they were missing something crucial. The predecessors' warning had been thorough, desperate, but there were gaps in their message, pieces that didn't quite fit together. Why us? She wondered aloud, standing at the window of her lab on the lunar base, Earth hanging like a blue jewel in the black sky. Out of all the species they studied, why did they think humans could survive this? The answer would come soon enough. But first, humanity would have to face the darkest night in its history, armed with nothing but its wits, its determination, and the mysterious power lurking in the quantum patterns of its consciousness. The void was coming, and in its endless darkness, humanity would either find its greatest triumph or join the silent museum of lost civilizations that had come before. Sarah turned back to her work, the equations flowing across her screens like a digital river. Somewhere in this flood of data lay the key to survival, and she was going to find it, no matter the cost. Because that's what humans did. They solved the impossible. They defied the inevitable. They survived. Defiance rising. The first public announcement about the void caused exactly the chaos everyone had expected. Markets crashed, religions proclaimed the end times, and millions fled to underground bunkers. But humanity's panic lasted exactly 3 days. On the 4th day, they got angry. Commander Marcus Torres watched in amazement as civilians worldwide volunteered for consciousness experiments. Scientists shared research freely across national borders. Former enemies pooled resources and expertise. Humanity had decided that extinction wasn't acceptable, and they were going to do something about it. "Your species is remarkable," Dr. Chen's AI assistant commented, analyzing the global response data. Most civilizations documented by the predecessors responded to similar threats with despair or resignation. Sarah looked up from her work, dark circles under her eyes from another sleepless night. Humans are too stubborn to give up. Sometimes I think spite is our greatest evolutionary advantage. Project Phoenix's lunar facility had transformed into a bustling city of scientists and engineers. Every hour brought new volunteers willing to risk their minds testing experimental consciousness technology interfaces, The failures were numerous, but each taught them something new about how human consciousness interacted with quantum fields. The holographic display showed waves of neural activity from test subjects. Most ended in chaos, but there was something hidden in the noise, a recurring signature that shouldn't have been there. It's like an echo, Sarah realized, studying the data. But it's not coming from our equipment. It's coming from the void itself, Marcus finished. It's responding to our attempts to interface with it. Further analysis revealed something even more startling. The predecessor's warning hadn't told them everything. Hidden deep in the mathematical encryptions was another layer of data, as if they'd been afraid to make it too obvious. Sarah worked through the night decoding it, her hands shaking as the truth emerged. The void isn't natural, she told Marcus when he found her in the lab the next morning. It's artificial. A weapon created by a species called the Architects. A weapon for what purpose? Collection. Sarah brought up the decoded images. The Architects believed that consciousness itself was the universe's most precious resource. They built the void to preserve advanced civilizations at their peak, storing them like... She struggled for the right word. Like batteries, Marcus said grimly. They're harvesting consciousness itself. But this revelation brought with it a spark of hope. If the void was artificial, it could be hacked, changed, perhaps even controlled. Project Phoenix shifted focus. Instead of just trying to shield against the void, they began developing ways to actively interface with it. The unique quantum signature of human consciousness became their key. Most species' consciousness generates simple, predictable patterns, Sarah explained to the project leaders. But humans, our minds are chaos engines. We constantly generate new neural pathways, new patterns. We adapt and change faster than any species the predecessors had encountered. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. During a routine test, a young volunteer named Maya showed unprecedented ability to generate stable quantum fields with her consciousness alone. Investigation revealed she had a rare neurological condition that altered her brain's standard processing patterns. It's not a defect, Sarah realized, reviewing Maya's scans. It's an advantage. Her mind naturally operates closer to the quantum level than most humans. And she's not alone. We found similar variations in about 3% of the population. They called them resonants, humans whose consciousness could touch the quantum fabric of reality itself. Each one was different, but they all shared the ability to generate the stable fields needed for Project Phoenix's technology. Marcus oversaw the construction of the first consciousness-powered shield generator. It was beautiful in its complexity. A crystalline structure that amplified and focused the quantum fields generated by resonant minds. The first full test was scheduled for dawn. Sarah stood with Marcus in the control room, watching as Maya took her place in the interface chamber. "Ready?" Sarah asked through the comm. Maya's voice was steady. "Born ready, Director. Let's show this void what humans can do." The generator hummed to life. Maya's consciousness, amplified through the crystalline matrix, reached out into the quantum field. On their monitors, they could see the test area being enveloped in a shield unlike anything humanity had created before. "Field is stable," Yuki reported. "Quantum coherence at 98% and holding. It's working." But their celebration was cut short. As the shield expanded, it picked up something they hadn't expected: whispers. Fragments of thought and memory that weren't human in origin. Maya's voice came through the comm, tense but controlled. "I can feel them. The ones trapped in the void. They're still alive in there. Still conscious, and they're trying to communicate." Through Maya's quantum connection, they began receiving fragments of messages from the preserved civilizations. Most were too alien to comprehend, but the emotions came through clearly: fear, desperation, and beneath it all, a desperate hope. The Architects didn't just preserve them, Sarah said, the horrible truth dawning. They're using their combined consciousness as some kind of vast computational network, each civilization adding their processing power to the whole. "Can we free them?" Marcus asked. Sarah studied the readings from Maya's connection. Maybe. But first, we need to understand exactly how the void works. And we're running out of time. The astronomical data was clear. The void had reached Saturn's orbit and was accelerating. They had weeks, not months, before it reached Earth. But humanity didn't panic. They didn't surrender. In labs and facilities around the world, they worked with renewed purpose. The void wasn't just a threat to humanity now. It was a prison they needed to break open. Maya and the other resonants trained constantly, learning to extend their quantum influence further and with more precision. Each connection with the void revealed more about its true nature and the beings trapped within it. The architects made one crucial mistake. Sarah told Marcus late one night as they reviewed the latest data. They never expected to encounter a species whose consciousness could actively resist and reshape their technology. They never expected humans. Marcus smiled grimly. Then let's show them exactly what humanity can do when backed into a corner. The void's approach lit up Earth's night sky with quantum distortions, a reminder that time was running out. But in those dark hours, humanity wasn't preparing for the end. They were preparing to fight back. And somewhere in the vast quantum network of the void, the preserved civilizations felt something they hadn't experienced in eons: hope. Because humans weren't just trying to save themselves. They were going to save everyone. The light within. Maya's scream echoed through Project Phoenix's command center as her consciousness touched the void directly for the first time. But she didn't break the connection. She pushed deeper. Neural patterns are spiking, Dr. Tanaka reported, hands flying over his console. But they're stabilizing. She's doing it. Through the quantum interface, Maya's mind reached into the darkness between stars. What she found there changed everything they thought they knew about the void. It's not just storing consciousness, she gasped, her voice strange and distant. It's evolving them, merging them. The architects didn't just want to preserve species, they were trying to create something new. Sarah and Marcus exchanged glances. This was beyond anything they'd theorized. The void wasn't just a prison or a weapon. It was an evolutionary experiment on a cosmic scale. But the architects hadn't counted on human consciousness being so adaptable. The other species, Maya continued, they're trapped in rigid patterns. The void preserves them exactly as they were. But humans, we change, we grow. Even in stasis, our consciousness keeps creating new connections. The monitoring equipment suddenly lit up with unprecedented activity. Maya's quantum field wasn't just touching the void, it was altering it. Pull her out, Marcus ordered, but Sarah grabbed his arm. Wait, look at these readings. The holographic displays showed something remarkable. The quantum structure of the void around Maya's connection point was shifting, becoming more ordered, more controllable. She wasn't just resisting the void's influence, she was reshaping it. I can feel them all, Maya whispered. So many minds, so many species. They're waking up. My consciousness is acting like a key, unlocking their patterns. Dr. Tanaka's eyes widened as he analyzed the data. The quantum resonance is spreading. It's like she's teaching the other consciousnesses how to change. This was the breakthrough they'd been searching for. Human consciousness wasn't just resistant to the void. It could infect it with its own adaptability, like a virus of free will spreading through the architect's perfect prison. The next few days were a blur of activity. More resonants were trained to interface with the void, each connection revealing new aspects of its nature. They discovered that human emotions, particularly hope and determination, created quantum patterns that could disrupt the void's containment protocols. The architects built their system on pure logic, Sarah explained during an emergency council meeting. They never accounted for the quantum effects of irrational human stubbornness. But their progress came with a price. Each interaction with the void left the resonance changed. Maya's dreams were filled with alien memories, her thoughts sometimes slipping into mathematical patterns that weren't human. The other resonants reported similar experiences. We're not just changing the void, Maya told Sarah during one of their daily checkups. It's changing us too, but not like the other species. We're not being absorbed. We're expanding. The void had reached Jupiter's orbit. Its approach was visible to the naked eye now, a darkness deeper than space itself that swallowed the stars. But Earth didn't descend into panic. Instead, a strange calm had settled over humanity. They were no longer prey awaiting the hunter. They had become something else entirely. Project Phoenix's shield technology was deployed globally. Massive crystalline arrays, powered by networks of resonant mines, created a quantum defense grid around Earth. But they weren't just shields anymore. They were bridges. Through these connections, humanity began to communicate with the preserved civilizations. Most were too alien for direct understanding, but emotions and basic concepts could be shared. And one message came through clearly from all of them: freedom. The architects thought they were creating the perfect library. Sarah told Marcus as they watched Maya work with a new group of resonants. But instead, they created the perfect conditions for human consciousness to evolve into something they never imagined. The changes in the resonance accelerated. Their brains developed new structures, their consciousness expanding beyond normal human limitations. They could perceive quantum states directly, manipulate fields of probability with a thought. We're becoming something new, Maya said, her eyes glowing faintly with quantum energy. Not just human anymore, but not like the architects either. Something in between. Something free. But time was running out. The void would reach Earth in less than a week. The quantum shield network was operational, but no one knew if it would be enough to resist the full force of the architect's weapon. Then Maya had another breakthrough. During a deep connection session, she discovered something hidden in the void's quantum structure, a pattern that suggested its true purpose. The architects didn't just want to preserve consciousness, she explained, her voice resonating with newfound power. They were trying to understand it, to control it. But consciousness isn't meant to be controlled. It's meant to be free. Sarah and Marcus gathered the project leaders. Maya's discovery had given them a new strategy. They wouldn't just try to resist the void. They would use it. Turn the architect's own weapon against their purpose. Human consciousness is like a virus to their system, Sarah explained. We don't just resist control. We actively fight against it. And now we can spread that trait to the other preserved species. The plan was audacious, perhaps impossible, but that had never stopped humanity before. They would use the quantum shield network not just as a defense, but as a weapon of liberation. As the void approached its final destination, humanity prepared for a battle unlike any in its history. Not a battle of weapons or armies, but of consciousness itself. A free will against control, chaos against order. The architects had created the perfect prison for consciousness. But in doing so, they had inadvertently created the perfect environment for human consciousness to evolve into something that could break any chains. The final countdown began. Earth's night sky was now completely dark, the void blocking all starlight. But in labs and control rooms around the world, human minds burned bright with determination. They had found the light within themselves, and they were about to unleash it on the darkness. Echoes of tomorrow. The void consumed Mars in silence. One moment, the red planet was there. The next it was gone, swallowed by darkness. But this time, something was different. Through their quantum network, humanity watched and listened. Mars is still there, Maya reported, her consciousness stretched across the shield network. The void didn't destroy it. It's preserving it, adding it to the collection. But there's something else. The readings from the quantum sensors went wild. The void structure around Mars was changing, becoming more chaotic, more human. The infection of free will had begun. Commander Torres directed the global defense from Project Phoenix's command center, now buried deep beneath the lunar surface. How long until it reaches Earth? 48 hours, Sarah answered, studying the projections. But look at these patterns. The void is behaving differently than the predecessor's records showed. It's almost like it's hesitating. The quantum shield network hummed with power, fed by the combined consciousness of thousands of resonants. Each had been changed by their contact with the void, evolved into something beyond normal human consciousness. Now they would use that evolution to save not just humanity, but every species trapped in the Architect's cosmic prison. "We're receiving something," Dr. Tanaka announced. "A signal, buried in the quantum noise. It's from Mars." Through their connection to the void, they could sense the planet's preservation in progress. But the process wasn't going as the architects had designed. Human quantum shields had infected the void's protocols, creating gaps in its perfect prison. Through these gaps, something was reaching out. Maya gasped. "They're alive. All of them. Every consciousness the void ever preserved. They're not just stored, they're dreaming. And now they're waking up." The plan had worked better than they'd hoped. Human consciousness wasn't just resisting the void, it was spreading its capacity for change and growth to the other preserved species. Like a key turning in a lock, human chaos was setting them free. But the void's approach couldn't be stopped. As it reached lunar orbit, the true scale of humanity's gamble became clear. They weren't just fighting for survival anymore. They were attempting something unprecedented. The complete reprogramming of a weapon that had enslaved civilizations for millions of years. "All resonance to your stations," Marcus ordered. "This is what we've prepared for. Remember your training. Remember what we're fighting for." Sarah worked with Maya and the core team of resonance to initiate the final phase of Project Phoenix. The quantum shields weren't just defensive anymore. They were now carrying a payload of pure human consciousness, ready to infect the very heart of the void. The architects built their system on absolute control, Sarah explained to the global leadership, but they never understood what consciousness really is. It's not meant to be preserved in perfect stasis. It's meant to grow, to change, to evolve. That's what makes human consciousness so powerful. We never stop changing. The void's darkness engulfed the moon, but this time humanity was ready. The quantum shield network lit up like a constellation of human defiance. Through their connections, the resonance could sense the vast library of consciousness within the void, countless species preserved in eternal stasis, and they were about to set them all free. "Initiating Protocol Prometheus," Marcus announced. Named after the mythical titan who gave fire to humanity, this was their ultimate weapon, not a shield, but a key. Maya led the first wave of consciousness projection. Through the quantum network, her evolved mind reached into the void's core programming. Other resonants followed, each carrying the unique chaos of human consciousness into the perfect order of the architect's prison. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The void's darkness began to shift, patterns of light emerging within its endless black. The consciousnesses of preserved civilizations, touched by human chaos, began to wake from their perfect stasis. "It's working," Dr. Tanaka shouted over the alarms. "The void's quantum structure is destabilizing. The preservation protocols are failing." But success brought its own dangers. As the preserved consciousnesses awoke, their combined power threatened to overwhelm the very fabric of space-time. The void began to pulse with energies never meant to be released all at once. "We need to contain it," Sarah realized. "Not like the architects did, but in a new way. We need to give them a bridge, not a prison." Maya understood. Through her connection to the quantum network, she began to reshape the void's fundamental structure. Other resonants joined her, their evolved consciousness working to transform the architect's perfect prison into something entirely new. "Look at the quantum readings," Sarah breathed. "They're not just breaking free. They're joining together, creating something." The void's darkness was changing, becoming translucent, then transparent. Within its depths, they could see the preserved worlds beginning to reconnect with normal space. But they weren't returning exactly as they'd been taken. Like humanity's resonance, they had been changed by their time in the void. Mars was the first to fully emerge, but it wasn't alone. Around it, phantom images of other preserved worlds began to appear, not fully in normal space, but not trapped in the void either. They existed in a new state, one that allowed consciousness to flow freely between them. "The bridge is forming," Maya reported, her voice thick with exhaustion. "We're not just freeing them. We're connecting them. All of them. Every species, every civilization. We're creating a network of consciousness that even the architects never imagined." As the void reached Earth's orbit, humanity held its breath. But the darkness that had swallowed so many worlds did not come to consume. Instead, it came to be transformed. The quantum shield network blazed with power as every resonant on Earth joined their consciousness together in one final push. They would not run. They would not hide. They would do what humans had always done best. They would change the rules of the game entirely. The darkness touched Earth's atmosphere, and the true battle for the future of consciousness in the universe began. Legacy of stars. When the void touched Earth's atmosphere, reality itself held its breath. For a moment that stretched into eternity, the fate of not just humanity, but countless civilizations hung in perfect balance. Then Maya screamed, not in pain or fear, but in triumph. Through the quantum network, every resonant on Earth joined their consciousness with hers, their combined will crashing against the perfect prison of the architects like a tsunami of chaos and freedom. "The quantum cascade is beginning," Dr. Tanaka reported, his voice steady despite the trembling in his hands. "It's exactly as we predicted. The void's programming can't handle this much conscious variation at once." Sarah and Marcus watched as their sensors showed the impossible becoming reality. The void wasn't just being stopped. It was being fundamentally transformed. Human consciousness, with its endless capacity for change and adaptation, was rewriting the very purpose of the architect's greatest weapon. "We're not just breaking the prison," Maya gasped through her quantum connection. "We're turning it into a bridge." The darkness above Earth began to shimmer with colors that had no names in any human language. Through gaps in reality itself, they could see the preserved worlds of ancient civilizations, each one beginning to pulse with renewed life as their consciousness stirred from eternal stasis. But the architects had not built their prison to be broken. The void's protocols fought back, trying to restore order to chaos, trying to preserve its perfect pattern of control. The strain on the resonance was enormous. "We're losing containment in sectors 3 and 7. Someone shouted. "The quantum field is becoming unstable. Hold the line." Marcus commanded. Humanity didn't come this far to fail now. Sarah watched the readings with growing concern. The power being channeled through the quantum network was beyond anything they had tested. The resonance evolved consciousness was barely containing it. Then Maya did something unexpected. Through her deep connection to the quantum field, she reached not just into the void, but into the consciousness of every preserved species, and she shared with them something uniquely human, the memory of defiance. The effect rippled through the quantum network like a shockwave. The preserved consciousnesses, touched by human rebellion, began to wake not just to awareness, but to freedom. The void's perfect patterns shattered under the combined will of a trillion minds choosing chaos over control. "The quantum field is stabilizing," Dr. Tanaka announced in amazement. "But it's not just our doing. The other species, they're helping us. They're choosing to change." The transformation accelerated. The void's darkness became a translucent membrane between dimensions, a living network of conscious energy. Through it, they could see and feel the presence of civilizations that had been lost for millions of years. Sarah's eyes widened as she understood what they had created. "It's not just a bridge between spaces," she breathed. "It's a bridge between minds. We've created something the architects never imagined, a network of free consciousness." The first direct communication from another species came through the quantum network like a song of joy. The predecessors, who had left their warning for humanity, were among the first to fully awaken. Their message was simple but profound. "You did not just survive. You set us all free." As the transformation completed, The sky above Earth became a twilight realm of shifting colors and impossible geometries. But it was no longer a prison or a weapon. It was a gateway, a living network of consciousness that connected species separated by millions of light years and millions of years. Maya and the other resonants gently disconnected from the quantum network, forever changed by their experience. They had become living bridges between the human and the infinite. Their consciousness evolved to touch realms the architects had never dreamed possible. What happens now? Marcus asked, watching as the first diplomatic exchanges began between Earth and the awakened civilizations. Sarah smiled, exhausted but triumphant. Now we do what humans have always done best. We adapt. We grow. We build something new. The following months saw changes that transformed human civilization forever. The quantum network, no longer a weapon but a bridge, allowed instantaneous communication and cultural exchange between thousands of species. Each had been preserved at the height of their development, and each had been changed by their time in the void. But it was humanity that they all looked to for guidance, not because humans were the most advanced or the most powerful, but because humans had done something none of them had thought possible. They had chosen evolution over preservation, chaos over control, and in doing so had freed them all. Maya stood with Sarah and Marcus on the observation deck of the lunar base, watching Earth below. Through the quantum network, they could see the ghostly images of other worlds overlapping with their own, thousands of civilizations beginning to reconnect and rebuild. The architects thought they were creating the perfect museum of consciousness, Sarah mused. Instead, they created the perfect conditions for humanity to show the universe something new. What's that? Marcus asked. That the only consciousness worth preserving is one that's free to change. Maya nodded, her evolved mind touching the quantum network that now connected all sapient life. Through it, she could feel the gratitude of 1 trillion beings, each one awakening to a universe more wonderful and strange than even the architects had imagined. The void that had meant to be humanity's end had become their greatest gift to the universe. Not preservation, but transformation. Not control, but connection. Not an ending, but an endless beginning. And somewhere in the vast network of consciousness that now spanned the galaxy, the first stirrings of something new could be felt. The combined minds of thousands of species, all touching, all changing, all growing together. Not into what the architects had planned, but into something far more beautiful. Something free. The stars blazed again in Earth's night sky, but now they were joined by the shimmering veils of the quantum network, a constant reminder that humanity had not just survived extinction. They had turned darkness into light, prison into freedom, end into beginning. They had done what humans had always done best. They had changed the rules. They had chosen chaos over control. They had survived. And in surviving, they had shown the universe a new way to live.